Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Recovery Bank's Community Education Program. It's nice to see some brave souls have weathered the storm and joined us here tonight. We appreciate you coming out tonight, and to our folks out there on Facebook Live, thanks for tuning in. My name is Frank Bollock. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'm privileged to be the project manager here at the Recovery Bank. The Recovery Bank is a peer-to-peer community resource center. We're located in downtown Scranton at 120 Wyoming Avenue in Scranton, and I'll talk a little bit more about our program in a minute, but I would want to give a bit of a shout out to the board of directors of Treatment Court Advocacy Center of Lackawanna County, of which I'm a board member and have been since its inception in 2008. Tom Morgan is here with us tonight, also a board member. In 2018, the board of Treatment Court Advocacy Center saw a need for a peer support center to help people, not just people in treatment court, but people who are interested in recovery in our community, to find a place that was safe and secure, that was focused on recovery, and that would help them make the recovery connections that are critical to sustained recovery. With that thought that we had, we developed a programming that has now resulted in a fabulous program of activities, all designed to help people make that connection. So the spirit of it, the fundamental purpose of the Recovery Bank is that piece of connection. We started up in June of 2019. When we started initially, we were renting space here at 120 Wyoming Avenue, which is the old Third National Bank building, right next to Oppenheim's and what was Lewis and Riley. We rented about 10,000 square feet in here to accommodate our programming. And since then, as a result of the generosity of our supporters and some grant writing, we've been able to purchase the building. So we have this beautiful building, and we have great plans for developing other parts of it. But the space that we have is perfect for the programming that we do here. Again, the basic thing we're trying to do is help people interested in recovery to make connections. So we're not a treatment center. We really don't do clinical things here. We are all about recovery. And we have a staff of men and women recovery coaches. They're certified recovery specialists in Pennsylvania. These people are people in recovery. They've taken some courses to learn a little bit more about what a recovery coach can bring to a person new in recovery. And essentially what they do is share their lived experience in helping people make those recovery connections. We have a wonderful bunch of volunteers, men and women who are in recovery, who come here kind of like I come here. It helps my own recovery, and that's what our volunteers find. The folks that are in recovery, they've been in recovery for a while, and they essentially take new people who are willing, kind of by the hand and help them connect with recovery resources. And we have a wonderful array of recovery resources in Lackawanna County and throughout northeastern Pennsylvania. Wonderful treatment centers, sober houses, halfway houses, people dedicated to recovery. The challenge is getting it all connected together. And again, that's what we do. So we have programming that's pretty robust. We do everything from the typical 12-step meetings, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous. We do Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, All Recovery, where the focus really is on talking about recovery issues in a group setting. We do that the recovery coaching through our CRSs every day, and our recovery coaches, do kind of a one-on-one session with people. Just need to schedule appointments, and that's proven to be very helpful to people. We also do other kinds of programming, some life skill programs. We do budgeting. We do our probably our most popular class is a cooking class, which actually turns out most of the time to be an eating class. But it serves the purpose for us, which is really to help people connect over food, because that's what everybody does, and that's what people in recovery do too, is to kind of connect, meet each other, talk about how we can help and support each other. So cooking is a great thing. But we do yoga and acupuncture, meditation. We do some fun, sober events. We have a Sober Active Scranton. Danny Duran's here with Jen Coleman. They're co-chairs of our Sober Active Scranton program, which involves trying to do some stuff that's a little bit of physical activity. Gentle bike riding, some hiking. There's going to be a new program tomorrow. Danny's going to run from 4 o'clock till 5. Just a bit of a fitness program, and it's hopefully he doesn't kill everybody in the first class, and we'll make it a regular class. I've asked him a couple of times, just keep it nice and easy so we get people to come back. But we do that kind of stuff. We participate in our community. We have a nice partnership with Scranton Tomorrow to do cleanup programs, beautification programs in the community, planting in the spring at different places, and it's certainly helpful for our people to kind of learn that skill. The Penn State Master Gardeners are involved in that, and we kind of team up with them, and it's really been a great partnership. It helps benefit the community, but it helps our people too to have a sense of purpose and further their feelings about themselves and about recovery. So lots of stuff that we do here, something for everybody. And if you go to our website, www.recoverybank.org, you'll see, the stuff that we do every day and scheduled throughout the month. So please, log on to that. Call us, 570-880-7901 to schedule an appointment for a recovery coaching session or to find out what's going on for the day. We're on Facebook a lot. We do a daily reading. Usually, in addition to the daily reading, the reader for the day will talk about the events of the day and what's going on. So you can always, join us on Facebook and kind of see what we're doing. I mentioned the exercise program, tomorrow afternoon, which is a great addition to our program and a good thing for Sober Active Scranton. On Saturday, there's a 12-step workshop here. Jen Coleman and Jeff Brown are going to run the step workshop on Saturday afternoon at noon. A whole wonderful bunch of things throughout the course of the week. On Saturday, March 1st, which is only a week away, we're going to have a job fair here from 12:30 to 3:30. We have just about 10 employers who we know regularly employ people who are in recovery. So they're going to be here. They're going to talk about their companies, and they're going to meet people who are interested in employment. And I think that's going to be a great opportunity on both ends, both for the employers and for the potential employees. We just started up a new outreach program to the Latino Hispanic community. We have a person who was a volunteer here, Daniel Sines, who started a Spanish-speaking meeting probably 8 months ago, and he's now part of our staff. He's a recovery coach. He's a bilingual recovery coach. He's part of the Latino community, and so he's here just about every day. If somebody needed a recovery coaching in Spanish or a Spanish speaking meeting, Daniel would be more than happy to accommodate your schedule. We're open 6 days a week now, 9 in the morning till 7:30, and on Saturdays a little bit more of a condensed schedule. But that is a much needed program in our community, and we're excited. We have been the beneficiary of some funding through the Lackawanna County Opioid Settlement Fund. That's who's funded our Latino Hispanic outreach program. So we're grateful to the committee and the county commissioners for the support that they continue to show us and helping us with a much needed program. I think that's enough for me. So I'm obviously very enthusiastic about the Recovery Bank. I know that we help people here to make the connection, and it really makes the difference on both ends, both the people who are new in recovery and people who have been in recovery for a while to participate in our programming here. It's free. It's free. Did I mention that? It's free. And you know, our staff are here to help. So if someone you love, care about, you know, is interested in recovery, come here. As I said, we don't do treatment, we don't do detox. We're kind of a bridge from people once they find their way to that they've gotten stopped, which is a huge accomplishment. Staying stopped is just as hard, and that's where we come in, right? So with our community education program, what we try to do is each month on the third Thursday, bring a topic or a resource person about recovery to come and talk to all of you. So tonight we actually have two things, and so first I'm going to introduce you to Amanda Lipko, and she's going to talk for a little bit. But we have a special guest star here today, my friend Joe Peters, District Attorney Joe Peters from Wyoming County, and I've known him almost my whole life. I'm older than him, but from West Granton days, and we're thrilled that he stopped by today, and he's just going to talk for a little bit at the end of the program about, you know, his perspective up there in Wyoming County and kind of overseeing, you know, what happens with drug prosecutions, but more importantly, what happens with the people in treatment court up there, and how recovery really helps the process. So we'll get to Joe in a minute. But Amanda Lipko is a person who I've known here probably pretty close to when we opened. That she came here as a volunteer, and she's been very active since. And her life and her recovery have just totally blossomed because she's been able to overcome addiction and alcoholism, and has stayed around long enough and stayed connected long enough to actually make some changes in her life. So she's, you know, really a rising star. She's involved with one of our partner facilities in our community, Beyond Addiction, and she's going to talk about Beyond Addiction and her new role there. And I'm going to stop talking now and ask you to welcome Amanda Lipko.
So first, I just want to say thank you to Frank and the Recovery Bank for having this and having me. The Recovery Bank is a huge part of my story. When I came here, I was afraid to be around anyone. I felt like my life was over and that recovery would be a boring time in my life. And the Recovery Bank just really did a good job at showing me that that's not the case and that there's plenty of ways to have fun in recovery. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story and how I ended up working in treatment at Beyond Addiction. I just always felt like I was different and never good enough. No matter what I did, I could be a good student, a good sister, a good daughter. I just never felt like it was okay to just be myself. And so when I started drinking at a young age, it just seemed like the answer to all my problems. It made that internal conversation that I was having with myself go away, where I felt like this is the greatest thing because now I'm not feeling worried about being me. And then in my senior year, I ended up getting into hard drugs because I was surrounding myself with people that were drinking. I was missing multiple days of school, more than anyone is allowed to, and my parents made an arrangement with my principal to still allow me to graduate. My dad came to my boyfriend's house at the time and literally broke down the door to come and get me out of there and begged me to show up at my high school graduation. I promised him that I would be there, and I think I meant it at that time, but I got high in between and I didn't show up. And that kind of thing where I was letting down my family just continued for a while. And they were just trying to push me into treatment and get me to go there. And I just didn't really want the help at that point in time. That continued on for quite a while until I eventually went to treatment and they told me that I was pregnant and I had to go on to methadone because at that time it was unsafe to detox while pregnant. It was just a different time then. And so I thought that was the answer, and I was going to the methadone clinic. The problem with that was that I was only, I wasn't working on anything inside of myself. Nothing was changing. I wasn't addressing any of those things that were making me feel not good enough. And I continued to get high after that because I didn't have any sort of real recovery. I had my son, and then I started to work in a bar where I felt like because I had stayed off of drugs for so long that with the methadone, that it was okay to just go out and drink. So I started to do that, and eventually it led me back into the same cycle of going to treatment, relapsing, thinking that I didn't have a problem, convincing myself that I wasn't like everybody else, and just led me back into the same situation. I was just always looking for something outside of myself, whether it was a relationship with someone else or that I was having a baby, enrolling in school. It was always something outside of me that I thought would be the answer. And not that I blame anyone at that point in time, but none of the places where I was seeking help were saying, like, let's take a look at inside and what we can actually do to fix this. They were just thinking, like, here's this medication, this should help you. And I went on with that for a while. And it did work for a little bit, which was like the tricky part. Like, I was able to go out and just drink sometimes after work and think that I was okay and not an alcoholic or an addict. Um, I eventually ended up getting on Suboxone. Again, I was just looking for something to make me feel better. And so I thought, like, this would be the answer because then everything was prescribed to me. I was able to get a good job and get a new car, buy a house, and do all these things that were checking these boxes that made it seem like, okay, Amanda, this is it. Like, you've got this figured out. Whatever problems I had with alcohol or drugs in the past were just situational. It was just because I was with this guy or around the wrong people. And it wasn't really like I didn't really see that the problem was me at that point in time. So these were great solutions for me. I ended up getting into this car accident on my way from one of the doctors where I was getting all my medications prescribed. And I thought this was like the worst situation in my life that I got hit by this car and now I have to take this time off of work. And I'm just now sitting at home. I'm off of work for months. And for an alcoholic like me, that leads to me feeling sorry for myself and thinking, woe is me. And I'm just drinking and taking those pills. Eventually, that led me back into hard drugs, which up until this point, I had justified that because I was prescribed these medications, that I was better than everyone else, that I didn't have the same problems. I felt that because a doctor wrote it, I was justified in taking them. So I ended up going back to work after the months that I had been off, and they fired me. I felt totally injusticed by this, that they were absolutely in the wrong, even though, like, my years of employment there, I was not the greatest person to be around. I was using, and I was just miserable to be around. It's not the same today as where I have like this loving relationship with my coworkers. I also couldn't show up on time. I was just super unreliable. But I got fired and I was so disappointed with my boss. I was so angry with him. I felt like he did me wrong. And I also spread that hate to everyone else. I had my family convinced that they had screwed me over. I just spread that everywhere to anyone that would listen. And eventually that led me back to using hard drugs. And I ended up getting arrested shortly after that. It wasn't very long before I had my life completely turned upside down. And then, fortunately, which I never thought I'd say fortunately, but I fortunately got arrested. And throughout all that, after I got out of jail, they had applied for me to be on treatment court. I was really angry that someone had applied for me to be on treatment court. And I was completely resistant to it. I said, there's no way I'm doing that. It's a setup for failure. And again, I spread that hate to my family. I had my dad convinced that treatment court is the worst thing in the world. A man who's never been arrested and knows nothing about treatment court whatsoever. I just fed him all of the lies that I was told. And fortunately, in there, she applied for me. And I got surrounded with some women that had been through the same thing. Most people told me stay away from treatment court, but there were a couple people that said it worked for me, it saved my life, you should really consider this. And I did. And I'm so glad that I did. I have since graduated from treatment court. I have my charges dismissed. I now show up today at treatment court as a provider for Beyond Addiction. And I really get to see behind the scenes, which it didn't take till now to realize that, but really they're just trying to help everybody that they can and trying to pick treatment instead of jail. And I'm really fortunate for that program because I know I didn't belong in jail, but I also like wasn't sure about the treatment aspect of everything. And it just gave me that opportunity. Not only did it force me into treatment, but into going to meetings and showing up for myself and changing my life. So today, since then, I have started to work in the treatment field, which has been amazing. I am able to go to a job that I love going to. I didn't mind going to my previous job, but I genuinely love showing up at my work. I don't feel like I have to work any day. It's just a passion. And I believe that all of the things that happened in my life led me up until this point for a reason. And my dad, who I put through hell, 100% agrees with that and has formed his own relationship with God where he's grateful for all of these terrible things that I put him through and that I did. Um, so Beyond Addiction is a beautiful place for women. We do like one-on-one counseling. It's very small. Everyone gets to know each other, which is a beautiful part of that. I love that we're just women. When I was in treatment, there really wasn't so much focus on AA or NA, whichever people like, but we didn't really have 12-step meetings there. And it's not that we're solely a 12-step program, but a lot of us work in recovery. We definitely promote the 12 steps. We do nightly AA meetings. It's just not a regular treatment center. Also, when I was in treatment, I didn't really get so much time with my counselor. They were you know, they had a big caseload. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just they're like everyone knows each other. They take the time to get to know each other, whether they're your counselor or not. Um, we are a 28 bed facility. We do 30 to 60 to 90 days. It's really individualized based on the person. And I just can't say enough about Beyond Addiction. Um, we've been open for 2 years. It wasn't open when I was going to treatment. If it was, I certainly would go there. Something I do want to say about it is that we are moving to Tunkhannock on March 3rd. So we're picking up from the Carbondale location and moving up there. It's a beautiful new facility. I feel like our building now is nice, but now this building can actually like match our mission and what how we feel about the women. We're just trying to give them their power back, give them their independence, and show them how to live the same way that I was fortunate enough to do that. I do have Barb here with me, who is a wonderful success story from Beyond Addiction. I am so proud of her and the things that she has overcome, and I would love for her to share a little bit about that.
Hi, my name is Barb. I'm a recovering alcoholic addict. Hi guys.
Hi, Barb.
I remember like yesterday when I went there. I well, I didn't want it at first, and I was very scared. I felt like I wasn't worth it. Um, I didn't think I could do it because I have two dogs. And like I told them, I'm like, well, I can't stay here because I have these two dogs that, well, they've been through a fire with me and a lot. So when I went there, I felt, like I said, less than exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally. My first 2 days was horrible because I didn't know what I was going to do with my dogs. And I was very stressed out and I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. And um, I don't know, the staff there, I do know what happened now. It was God and Beyond Addiction and the hard work I put into it. But I started sharing there. Well, first, I apologize. They accommodated me for my dogs because they have PTSD and separation issues because they saved me from my abusers. So yeah, they accommodated me to let me go home, take out my dogs, take care of my dogs. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Take out my dogs and work on myself. So I started sharing every day. And I felt like I had secrets that I buried since I've been 10. And I felt so comfortable because all women and the staff there are really great people. And they made me, it kind of felt like family and got it easy for me. Like I just started sharing everything and dumping everything. And when I did, I realized that I was helping other people because they related to what I was going through, is stuff that I thought, I used to think nobody could ever go through what I did. But yeah, there's always something that has a worse. And, they helped me just as much as I helped them. And then I got so I wouldn't shut up. And yes, I'm a little nervous right now, but Amanda asked me to come here, and without a doubt, I would have not missed this because, like, I don't know. Today I have like a peace that I can't even put into words.
Inspired. And that's what we hope to do at Beyond Addiction, is to make people feel like it's family, like they can open up and be themselves and disclose whatever secrets they're holding or however they feel, and just get it out somewhere so that it's off the table, and let us help work through it. It's just something that we find works for everybody, and building the relationships with women. Again, I just really can't stress that enough. It's so important to remove the focus of men or whatever relationships and everything else, and just focus on ourselves and the community of just women allows that to happen.
Yeah, they truly help me feel like I'm a survivor instead of a victim, honestly. And like, I love myself today, and I have people who love me, and it's amazing because I went through all my life in and out of jail, and just using and running, and I was, I was on a first name basis with my children and everything. And today, I have a great life. That's all I could say about it. It's just great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
You're welcome.
Amanda and Barbara. I think it's a testament that the two of you show up here together, kind of supporting each other, and that you did that whole thing on one breath.
Yeah, I know.
So thank you very much. And Beyond Addiction is a wonderful place. They're one of our partners. They bring their women down here to participate in programs, and it's just been a great partnership. So, and we're thrilled that you're there, and it's just wonderful. So, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your stories, and thanks for telling us about Beyond Addiction. I mentioned before that District Attorney Joseph Peters is here. He's very involved with law enforcement, but he's instrumental in the Wyoming County treatment court. And I thought since he's here, he might share with us a little bit about his experience. And we'll let Amanda and Barbara sit down here if you want, and you can agree. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Frank. Amanda and Barb were going to be my support. Now you let them get away. I'm stuck up here by myself. I didn't expect to be here. In fact, just this afternoon, I texted Amanda and I said, "Don't you have something tonight?" And I say that because I think God, or whomever you believe or not, but in my case, I think God puts you in places for a reason, and it's up to you to do something. And when I saw Frank tonight, it was like, West Side again, and Tom, and friends, and you can feel the friendship and the support in this room. Some people try to fake it. Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. But when I walked in here, it was real. And I'm really here because of Amanda. I met her just a month or two ago when I heard there was a new facility opening in my county. And I thought, let me go see what it's about. And I went there. And every once in a while, you can see a person and you say in your mind, boy, that's the real deal. Because when I walked into her facility and she showed it off, like not only was she so proud of it, like you would be proud of a child, your son, but she was proud of who she was, and she couldn't help showing it in her face. Like there was this radiance, and there was this feeling that was almost palpable, like I'm where I need to be. So I wanted to come and learn more about Amanda. And now I feel like I've met old friends and new friends. And I just wanted to say to you from my perspective, which is a very different one from yours. And you would not expect, and I'm sure on your journey, whenever you heard the word law enforcement or whenever you dealt with somebody, he's running, see? Is that my CD you have in your... You have to joke in this, by the way. That it wasn't a good thing, law enforcement. And in fact, I'm here to tell you, a bit of a confession, that in my career, when I heard about drugs, I painted this picture, this generalized picture of anybody who was involved in any aspect of that. My mom and dad taught me about heart, I hope. So, but when it came to the user, I almost saw the user as a victim. And I saw that victim could be a survivor. But I still came from a culture of they're the other side of the coin, rather than we're all in this together. And when I say, I'll tell you 20 seconds of my background, and maybe you'll see why I say that. I was a street cop. I was a cop in Scranton. I worked undercover. I was eventually the chief of the State Bureau of Narcotics Investigation. So 300 people working undercover, troopers and agents around the state, all focusing on, the drug trafficker and the damage that's done to lives and families, friendships. And I went to law school, and I eventually became the chief drug prosecutor of the state. I then was asked to be a mafia prosecutor for the Department of Justice. And I saw what the mob did, and a lot of what the mafia did was fueled by drug money. And that drug money was ruining people's lives. And then I was asked to go to the White House. And I worked 2 years for President Clinton, 2 years for President George W. Bush in the drug czar's office. And it was there that I really had this awakening. Because my boss at the time, who was a retired 4-star general, who stepped out of the Army, out of the role as soldier, just like I was not realizing it, stepping out of the role as cop and prosecutor. And he was the drug czar, and I was his deputy, one of his deputies. And he came to me one day, and he threw this folder on my desk, and he said, here's a brand new program that the Department of Justice is starting, and it's called the Drug Court Program Office. It's your job to go out and sell it. And I didn't know what it was. This is 20 years ago. And as I learned about it and tried to sell it, I thought, not only is this never going to work, but this is not who I am. I'm here to investigate and arrest people and prosecute at least the traffickers. What is this sitting around a table? And how can you have the prosecutor and the defense attorney at the same table working together? And what do you mean the cop is there and the judge is there? Who wants him there? And the treatment specialist. I'm not a social worker. I raised my hand to be a tough guy. And the more I learned and the more I tried to sell it around the country, I can't tell you the names that I was called by my fellow cops and prosecutors. Not that they're bad people, but we all need to be educated, me first. And the more I talked about it and the more I saw, I became a believer. I always believed in rehabilitation, in recovery, in second chances, and redemption. But I never saw it within the confines of the criminal justice system, because that was about one side versus the other. That was about black and white. That wasn't about this confluence of people who come together like an extended family and try to make a difference, one life at a time. And that's what recovery to me is all about. And as I became a real believer in drug courts and worked around the country, and I would see, I'd be at a drug court graduation in Texas, and I would see, the judge, and someone would come up and he'd say at their sentencing, drug court or jail. If I told you how many times I heard people say, I'll take jail, Your Honor, because that's too hard. Amanda talked about what people said to her about drug treatment court, and it is hard. It's a lot easier to sit in jail and get fed every day and relax or read or watch TV. It's so much harder to work on this and to work on this, as she said. She wasn't working on herself. She was looking at all the external things to make a difference in her life. And then I took from that and I thought, we can do this at every part of the criminal justice system. We don't have to wait till somebody gets convicted for drug treatment court, hopefully, to help them, because we can't reach everybody with drug treatment court. They either don't want to, or it's not available to them, or they don't have the support. So I'm doing things now at every stage of the criminal justice system, recognizing that mental health and addiction or substance use disorder go hand in hand. You can't separate them. And if we could intervene, if we can get a CRS and a CPS, and we can find people where they are, and we can have these touch points or these handoffs And yes, Amanda, it could be an arrest. Like, there is no wrong door to getting someone either into a system of support and recovery, or reaching them and pulling them sometimes, yelling and screaming. And like people say to me, well, you can't coerce people to get, you can't mandate this. We're in a democracy. Like, forget the committee work, forget the democracy. However we can deliver somebody to treatment, they're going to see and they're going to become our evangelists. They're going to go on to help other people. And that's what everybody in this room. So I guess I'm just here to tell you or to say to you, there's nothing I can tell you. I can learn way more from you than you can ever learn from me. Say that you are appreciated and admired for what you've done and who you are more than you can ever imagine. So don't be ashamed. Don't be apologetic. You're like the superheroes. Like, you were there before, even in the military, when we tried to say to soldiers, it's okay to talk about PTSD. Yeah, we know you're war fighters and all of that, and you're supposed to be tough, but it's okay to be human. And it's okay to talk about your frailty. And it's okay to get help. And you led the way in that long before soldiers were getting help with PTSD. And you could take that example over and over and over again. So, as I started by saying I didn't plan to be here, I'm glad I'm here. I'm privileged to be able to talk with you, not at you, and to be able to learn from you. And when I see the work of people like Frank, and now Amanda, and your board, and Barb, and Edwin, an old friend who I hadn't seen in so long, it just inspires me even more on this cold, nasty night to say, you know what? God put me in that car for a reason. God made me meet Amanda a couple weeks ago for a reason. And I'm really privileged to know. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that insight, that perspective, and that history. That's great. Barbara and Amanda really did a great job. Thanks. Let's give them another round. You so relaxed now. And thank all of you for braving the storm and for staying tuned in. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support of the recovery bank. We still have lots of food back there. We got it from our next door neighbor, the Chalky restaurant that's next door. It's magnificent. So please help me finish up the food so I don't have to take it home and eat it all myself. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you.